So here we have the pieces from the little half scale shirt that you need to cut out and have marked ready to make this little pocket. So it's going to be a box pleat pocket. So you've got 3 pieces. You're going to cut one out of here. You should have already done all of this, but I want you to make sure that there's markings on it. You've got the stitching lines. So when you fold this with the wrong sides together, your stitching lines are going to be on the inside, so you may have to transfer them if you can't see them, or figure out to mark at the top and bottom. But you're going to fold this and you're going to stitch along this stitching line. So this piece is going to be folded in half, just as it is here. So you're going to stitch right along the stitching line, indicated on the pattern as a dash line. That's usually the stitching line. Then the lines, 2 lines in the middle, are the fold lines. So I'll take this to the machine. We're going to stitch this, and then I'll show you how to open it up and have it look more like a pocket. Before you do that, make sure you've got your piece of interfacing that's 1 inch wide, so it takes up this top part of this little pattern piece, number 4, the box pleat facing. So it's going to be part of the facing that goes on the top of this box pleat. You've also got your pocket flap. So you're going to cut 2 out of your fabric for that, and one of them you can interface. Okay. If you've got a really lightweight fabric, you would interface both sides, but if you don't, just interface one side of this of these 2 pieces. Okay, so we'll take this to the iron, or to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how to sew this pleat up, and then how to open it, and we'll fold it and press it for the pocket. Okay, so I'm set up at the sewing machine here. I've got my pocket piece folded with the wrong sides together, so I'm going to be stitching on the right side. Now I've taken my little wheel and just made like a little mark. I can actually see through this fabric, so I'm able to see where I'm going to stitch on this stitching line. So I'm going to start this here. I always hold my threads when I start sewing. So take a couple of stitches. You're going to want to reverse a little, and keeping your eye at the front of your presser foot, just watch and line up. My presser foot's got a little center indicator, so I'm just making sure that the line of the stitching is staying centered with the line of my foot. So I get to the end and I'm just going to back stitch and take this off. So here I have my row of stitching. So remember, this is the right side and this is the wrong side. So you see, when I open this up, I actually managed to get right on that stitching line. You can't see it at all. So I'm going to turn this over so that I have the right side of my pocket. And if you carefully look at the fold lines that are inside here, and you take and you fold this up, if you've marked the center of your pocket, you could line it up with the stitching as well. But you see how as soon as I fold this out, I now have this pleat on the outside of my pocket. On the inside of my pocket, you just see the seam line. Okay, so I'm going to give this a press, and then after I've pressed it, so I want to press it on the right side, I want to flip it over, I want to press it on the wrong side. So you want to make sure that when this is pressed open, that it's nice and flat. So after it's all pressed, I'm going to take and I'm going to do a row of stitching at the top just to secure this so it's not flopping all around. And I'm going to do the same at the bottom, just a little row from one side of the pleat over to the other. Okay, you can see where I've done like a little row of stitching across the top. This is the right side. There's the wrong side. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to take your pocket, and you can either make a mark on it or you can just kind of eyeball. So you want about the midpoint, so about halfway down your pocket. So what you're going to do is you're going to take it, I've written down here midpoint, and I have marked on either side. So at 3/8 of an inch, so the seam allowances on this pocket are all 3/8 of an inch, and whether it's the flap or the actual pocket you're sewing. So you're going to run 2 rows of basting. So remember, basting is the longest stitch that your machine will do. So you're going to set your machine up to, if it's a 5 or a 6, whatever the longest stitch on your machine is. So you're going to take and you're going to start 3/8 of an inch. Maybe you might be able to see it on this side of the pocket. So I've got over here, I've written 3/8 of an inch. So I did a row at 3/8 all the way around and stopped about the same point on the other side. Then I did a second row, starting again at the same point, or same point, so midway. Only this time it's about 1/8 of an inch farther away, so a little bit closer to the edge of the pocket. And I run the same row of basting all the way down and around and stop again. So this is my 2 rows of basting. So what I do next is I'm going to flip my pocket over and I'm going to grab up 2 of the basting threads. And you want to make sure that you're holding on to, if it's the bobbin, you want to make sure you've got both bobbin threads in your hand. If you start pulling on one end with a bobbin, or a bobbin and one of the needle threads, if it's come through, you're going to end up with everything getting all jammed up, and it's not going to end up gathering nicely. So you see, when I gently pull this, what happens is my pocket in the corner starts to gather and it starts to turn. So remember, this is the wrong side. So you're going to do this, and you want to keep that basting row very close to where you're going to end up pressing this. So you don't necessarily need this gathered up the side. It's just to gather in this corner so that it smoothly curls in. And once you give it a press, you're going to be able to have a nice smooth edge from the right side of your pocket. So I'm just giving this a gentle little pull. And you don't want to pull it, you don't actually want to even pull right through this bottom row here where you've got your pleat. You kind of want to stop giving it a tug before you get to that. And then you can just very carefully, you're going to need to use your fingers a bit here, or if you've got a little pressing tool of some sort, you can use that. So you want to get this nice and even, and take your time with it. You may have to pull up the inside, like the basting thread that's closest to the edge, a little tighter than the outside. If you look at it and think about it, it's actually farther away from the edge. So it's got to pull a little tighter in order to get everything smooth. So I'm going to work this, and then I'm going to take this to the iron and I'm going to press it, and I will show you what it looks like once it's all pressed.